I'm a healthcare provider, so I talk about grief a lot. Now to be on the other side of this is, it's a lot. So I lost my mom a few years ago, and that was hard.
This morning, we're learning more about the Independence Day boat trip Nolan Wells and his friends took to Mississippi's Horn Island. As part of a records request to the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources, NBC News obtained GPS information for the boat.
This week, Nolan Wells will be laid to rest, and in the same breath, his case took a turn nobody expected. A grand jury is now involved. If you haven't seen our earlier videos on this case, go watch those first, because they cover everything from the day he disappeared to the contradictions that came right after. This video is only the newest updates. So, if you're already caught up, let's get right into it. And if you're new here, go ahead and hit subscribe and turn on that bell icon, because shadow crime is staying on this case until Nolan's family gets real answers, and you don't want to miss a single update. All right, let's talk about what happened. Funeral services for Nolan were held this past Monday, July 13th, at Center Point Church in Ocean Springs. Visitation ran from 9 to 11 that morning, with the service following right after. That alone is heavy enough. But here's something you might not know. Those services almost happened somewhere else entirely. The Coast Coliseum had originally been approved as the venue, but those plans fell through, and the family had to shift everything to Center Point Church instead. In the middle of grieving, in the middle of a national spotlight, this family still had to sort out something as basic as where to say goodbye to their son. And through all of that, Tyler Perry quietly covered the funeral expenses. His burial itself is set for July 20th. So as you're watching this, understand that Nolan hasn't even been laid in the ground yet. His family is still in the middle of this. They are burying their son while simultaneously fighting for answers about how he died. Sit with that for a second. Most families get to grieve without also having to demand a federal agency get involved. Nolan's family doesn't have that luxury, because right in the middle of funeral planning, something else happened. Christine Wansley sat down with the Jackson County District Attorney, Angel Myers McElrath, for the very first time since her son's body was recovered. This was the first real face-to-face meeting between the family and the DA's office since this entire nightmare began. And out of that meeting came something significant. The DA confirmed that once the Sheriff's Department wraps up its investigation, this case is going to a grand jury. Now, before you jump to conclusions, the DA's office was clear about something important. Convening a grand jury doesn't automatically mean a crime happened. It's actually standard procedure for unnatural or suspicious deaths in that county. But still, think about what that tells you. This isn't being treated like a routine drowning anymore. This is a case serious enough and unresolved enough that it's heading toward a grand jury for review. Ben Crump described the meeting as respectful, and he said something that stuck with me. He said, quote, "We don't profess to have all the answers, but we're trying, and we are going to get to the truth." That's not the language of someone claiming they've cracked the case. That's the language of someone still digging, still waiting, still fighting for a family that just buried their child. But while all of this was happening behind closed doors, a completely different piece of evidence was quietly surfacing, one involving audio nobody had heard before.
Hey, Boo Bears. I know you probably did not expect to see me, but I had to come on because I wanted to acknowledge all of your love, your support, your kindness that you guys have been showing me. I wanted to answer each and every one of you, and I probably will at some point. I will at some point, but right now it's just, everything is so heavy. Everything is so heavy. Just been going through the motions. I'm a healthcare provider, so I talk about grief a lot. Now to be on the other side of this is, it's a lot. So I lost my mom a few years ago, and that was hard. This loss, this grief, this pain, it's different. It's insurmountable. And then it's like you get these flood of emotions all at different times, and grief is so multi-layered. 1 second I might be okay and I can talk about things and I can listen to his stories, and then the next minute I am falling apart and I feel like I can't breathe, and I feel like there is an elephant just sitting on my chest. But, you know, I know this is the process. I have a wonderful support system. I have my faith in God, which I've been leaning heavy into. But I just wanted to let you guys know that I see you. I love you. I'm thankful for all of you. And I'm so sorry that I hadn't been able to reply. I don't know exactly when again I'll post. For some reason, it does help. And I know if Nolan was here, he'd be like, Mom, you know, just keep talking to the people, keep telling my story, keep telling your story. So that is going to be my plan. Again, thank you all so much. I love you, and I will talk to you later. Bye.
NBC News got their hands on that audio through a records request, and it changes how we understand that entire afternoon on Horn Island. It's a call made to a private towing company, and on that recording, you can hear one of Nolan's friends saying, quote, "We're sinking. Can you all please come?" Now think about what that actually confirms. For days, all we had was a second-hand account, a Facebook post from Judge Ashley Cole saying the boat had a bilge pump issue and was taking on water. People online questioned whether that story was even true. Well, now there's an actual recording of someone on that boat, in real time, saying they were sinking and asking for help. That part of the story checks out. But here's where it gets more complicated instead of simpler. Because at the same time this audio was surfacing, GPS data was too. CBS News obtained tracking information from the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources, and it lays out, almost minute by minute, exactly where that boat went that day. Listen to this timeline. The boat left the dock at 9:56 in the morning. It arrived at Horn Island at 11:14. Then, at 4:31 that afternoon, it left the island without Nolan and headed back to the original dock. From there, it traveled into Fort Bayou around 5:52, came back to the dock by 6:06. Later that evening, at 7:19, it went to the Fort Bayou boat launch, and from there, it was towed overland back to the boat owner's home in Biloxi. Now on paper, that's a clean, documented trail. No mysterious gaps. No unexplained hours. The boat's movements are accounted for down to the minute. So if you're looking for something suspicious in where that boat went after leaving Nolan behind, this data doesn't really give you that. But Nolan's phone tells a very different story. And this is where things get genuinely strange. Christine used an app called Life 360 to track her son's phone, and it led her to the home of one of the friends who owns the boat. Fine. That matches the broader story so far. But then the family did something smart. They compared that Life 360 location history against Nolan's Snapchat location history for the exact same day, and the two didn't match. Sit with that for a second. Two separate location tracking systems, both pulling from the same phone the same day, and they're telling two different stories about where that phone actually was. Nobody has publicly explained why. Not the family, not investigators, not Crump. It's just sitting there, unresolved, another loose thread in a case that already has too many of them. So you've got a boat with a fully documented, minute-by-minute GPS trail, and you've got a phone with a location history that contradicts itself. One piece of technology telling a clean story, another piece of technology telling a confusing one. And somewhere between those two timelines is the truth about what actually happened to Nolan Wells on July 4th.
This morning, we're learning more about the Independence Day boat trip Nolan Wells and his friends took to Mississippi's Horn Island. As part of a records request to the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources, NBC News obtained GPS information for the boat. The records show it departed from a private boat launch at 9:56 a.m., arriving at the island by 11:14 and staying there until 4:30 p.m. In audio of a call around that time to a private towing company obtained from the same records request, the caller explains a mechanical issue with the boat.
"We're sinking. Can you all please come?"
The towing company dispatched reaching out to a local captain for help.
It sounds like a bunch of kids on board on Horn Island, and he's saying the boat is sinking. He wants you guys to go out there and unpump the boat and then tow it in.
Records then show the boat being towed slowly from about 4:31 until 5:25 before getting back to normal speed. The boat then returned to its original location at 5:44 without Nolan Wells. Melissa Miller was at Horn Island on the 4th. She says there were hundreds of boaters there for the holiday.
It's just a big community. Everyone goes out there and, has a good time.
She also says it's normal to leave cell phones on boats and that currents at the northwest corner of the island can be treacherous.
Like, you can go out there just innocently, and next thing you know, the water's, like kind of sucking you in, throwing you back out.
After speaking with one of the friends on the boat, Nolan's concerned mother reported him missing to police.
Police report her 8-year-old son, Nolan Wells, missing last seen at 3 on Horn Island.
His body was found on July 6th. His mother's struggling as she plans his funeral, posting on Facebook,
This loss, this grief, this pain, it's different. It's insurmountable.
Now, one parent has also posted that some of Nolan's friends have been getting threatening messages. The FBI does confirm that it is investigating threats connected to this case, all while Nolan's mother is encouraging people to stay peaceful as she plans to hold his funeral next week. Guys, back to you.
Just a terribly sad story on so many levels, Aaron. Aaron Gill, Chris Forrest there in Mississippi, thank you.
And just when you think this case can't get any heavier, it does. Because now the FBI's involvement has expanded into something much darker than digital evidence. Sheriff Ledbetter confirmed the FBI has been examining digital evidence in this case, things like phone data and other technical material. He was quick to frame that as routine, saying Horn Island sits on federal land and his office regularly partners with the FBI on complicated cases. Fair enough, but that's not the only reason federal agents are involved right now. The FBI confirmed directly to ABC News that they are, quote, working to address interstate threats that were received by individuals related to this matter. Read that again. Threats. Real ones. Serious enough that a federal agency stepped in. Jackson County Chancery Judge Ashley Cole, who is the stepmother of one of the 3 friends who was on that boat with Nolan, posted publicly that her entire family has received death threats. Think about the position she's in. Her family is connected to a case that the whole country is watching, and now they're receiving threats serious enough to involve federal law enforcement. And it's not just her family. Trace's Tin Shepard, Nolan's own friend, the same one who came forward earlier to say that viral video wasn't Nolan's voice, has also received threats. Here's exactly what he said. Quote, "It worries me for my friends. It worries me for my family." Let that sink in. A friend of Nolan's, someone who's tried to be transparent through all of this, is now scared for the people he loves because of how big and how angry this case has become online. Meanwhile, the sheriff's office says they've now interviewed more than 60 witnesses, including all 3 friends who were on the boat with Nolan that day. Ledbetter told ABC News the public can have confidence in this ongoing investigation. That's easy to say. It's a lot harder to actually believe when the family still doesn't have a cause of death, and people connected to the case are being threatened for simply existing near it. So here's where we're really at right now. Nolan hasn't even been buried yet. That happens July 20th. His funeral just happened days ago. His family met the DA for the first time. A grand jury is coming. New audio confirms the boat really was sinking. GPS data shows a clean trail for the boat, but a contradictory one for Nolan's phone. And now federal agents aren't just looking at evidence. They're looking into threats against the people caught up in this. So I want you to really think about this. When a case generates this much anger, this much fear, threats serious enough for the FBI to step in, does that pressure help get to the truth faster?
We've just had an opportunity to meet with District Attorney Angel McElgrath and some members of her team. We had a very respectful meeting. The thing I assume some of you may know, the thing to announce, she shared with the family that there will be a grand jury that she will turn this case over to once they have collected all the information and finished their investigation. We also agreed that we will have a mutual inspection of the cell phone with our experts and their experts. Attorney Eric Hertz is helping lead the investigation team with former law enforcement experts who are going to help us with the cell phone download. so everybody will be able to see at the same time what the cell phone has.
Or does it actually make witnesses more afraid to come forward with what they really know? And when two pieces of technology from the same day tell two different stories, which one do you trust and why? Let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you want to be here the moment Nolan Wells finally gets his answers, make sure you're subscribed to Shadow Crime with that bell turned on, because we're not going anywhere until this family gets the truth.